Welcome back, S'mores, to another episode of Beyond the Campfire. Today, we are not covering a missing object, but a missing person. Really, not even a missing. I mean, who was he? Not only was he missing, but we don't even know who the guy was.
I know, yeah, we have a pseudonym, but that is about it. So, yeah, welcome to Beyond the Campfire. You can find us here posting new episodes every Friday at 5 p.m. You can also find us on all the social medias,
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you use social media. If you just look up at Beyond Campfire or at Beyond Campfire Podcast, yeah, you should be able to find us. So be sure to connect with us over there.
Did you just call it the gram, or did you say Instagram?
Instagram.
Okay, it cut out, and I was like, I swear, if he just called it the gram, go
Hey,
check us out on the gram, dude.
rumor has it that the cool kids call it the gram. So
We were cool before cool was a thing.
so they say. So they say. All right, we have the case of D.B. Cooper, also known as Dan Cooper. At least that's the name he gave us. So there's a few sources I was looking for this story, but I decided to read. We'll start off with the FBI's account of what happened. So, Will, do you have any preliminary things you wanted to say before we dive right into who the heck DB Cooper is?
Well, I think if you watch the Loki series, season one, you find out who DB Cooper is.
Yeah, they have their own take on it, but
Yeah.
all right. So I went on FBI.gov and they have published their account of the DB Cooper case.
Mm.
And oh, okay. The last update on this page was on July 12th, 2016, saying that the FBI has redirected all their resources dedicated to this case to focus on other investigative priorities. So as of right now, the FBI is no longer looking into this case. Last time they were was July 12th, 2016. But for nearly 50 years they were looking into it. So
Yeah, I feel like after some point, and obviously we might cover the Zodiac killer, might, but I feel like with some of these cases that the FBI does is kind of like at this point he's probably dead.
oh yeah, for
So
sure.
why waste time trying to like? I mean, it would be cool to find out who it really was, but like at the same time, it's like, what's kind of the point?
Right, right. No, for sure. Yeah. Because I mean, even if you catch him, like he's probably going to be in jail for not that long. So
There's some dude like they're like, all right, we found DB Cooper, and it's like this 90-year-old man sitting in the wheelchair. Sir, we're here to arrest you. What? Sir, we're here to arrest you. You speak up. I can't hear.
yeah, I know. Definitely would be a Zodiac killer kind of case. But okay, my mustache is sufficiently curled. Okay, here we go. It's gone long enough to where I can curl it now.
See,
Sorry.
mine. I used to do that, but what happens is it gets like it grows over my lip, and then it sucks.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, guys, I'm getting off topic. But for those of you that don't know, I've been engaging in No Shave November. So normally I keep a pretty short beard. But since I have not shaved for the last few weeks, my beard is a lot bigger than it normally is. And my mustache is now sufficient length to where I can curl it like so. So I was kind
Dude,
of intrigued by that. But
I think this is the first time we've like Steven has gone off topic. It's usually me. Steven has to reel me in. But now
I know.
it's Steven. He's like, let me tell you guys about DB Cooper. Yeah, yeah, okay, I got my mustache like that. Yeah, DB Cooper.
All right. Anyway, at the risk of getting distracted by my mustache a second time, here's what the FBI records. On the afternoon of November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a nondescript man calling himself Dan Cooper approached a counter of Northwest Orient Airlines in Portland, Oregon. He used cash to buy a one-way ticket on Flight 305 bound for Seattle, Washington. Thus began one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in FBI history. Cooper was a quiet man who appeared to be in his mid-40s, wearing a business suit with a black tie and a white shirt. He ordered a drink, bourbon and soda, while the flight was waiting to take off. A short time after 3 p.m., he handed the stewardess a note indicating that he had a bomb in his briefcase and wanted her to sit with him. The stunned stewardess, oh, lost my place. Oh, there she is, did what she was told. Opening a cheap case, Cooper showed her a glimpse of a mass of wires and red-colored sticks and demanded that she write down what he told her. Soon, she was walking a new note to the captain of the plane that demanded 4 parachutes and $200,000 in $20 bills. I think in today's money that adds up to about $1.5 million. So, not a small amount. When the flight landed in Seattle, the hijacker exchanged the flight's 36 passengers for money and parachutes. Cooper kept several crew members, and the plane took off again, ordered to set course for Mexico City. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, a little after 8 p.m., the hijacker did the incredible. He jumped out of the back of the plane with a parachute and the ransom money. The pilots landed safely, but Cooper had disappeared into the night, and his ultimate fate remains a mystery to this day. So, that is the initial story.
Wow.
Man hijacks a plane, and before it lands in Mexico City, he hops off of it and disappears into the night. So, Will, initial thoughts, comments, questions?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that this episode is coming out the day after Thanksgiving, and it took place the day before Thanksgiving. What day did you say it was?
I thought you had planned it that way.
No. What day did you say it happened?
November 24th, which in that year was the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We're on the 27th. We're filming this on the 27th. Thanksgiving on the 28th.
That is a crazy coincidence.
I didn't plan that,
Dude,
because
this is like the second time that's happened to us.
No, third. Well, no, the second time we didn't plan it. The third time that we have had it fall on an anniversary, because Waco we planned.
Yeah, Waco we planned. 9/11.
John Wilkes Booth we didn't.
Yeah, John Wilkes Booth we didn't plan. That was just a crazy coincidence.
And then here we are with DB Cooper. It's not exactly the 27th, but me and you are filming this the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and that's when he disappeared.
Happened the day before Thanksgiving. So
this is wild.
Crazy.
Initial thoughts for me.
I thought you had planned that, but anyway.
No. Well, because with here's the issue, guys. Okay. Because this is a little plug for our Patreon, which I think I might be launching at the beginning of the new year. Anyways, I'll talk more about that at the end of the episode. But in the on one of our Patreon tiers, you get themed episodes. And so I was like, you would have gotten an episode on Friday and then some Thanksgiving themed episode on Thursday. So because we haven't launched it yet, I was like, well, what's something Thanksgiving that I could talk about? And the only Thanksgiving cryptid is Gobble Squatch. Yeah. So it's kind of cool that DB Cooper is technically a Thanksgiving themed episode because it happened on Thanksgiving or the day before.
There you go. So, all right. So I'll get into the FBI investigation, and then after that, we'll go into some of the theories about who he is. So, the FBI knew about the hijacking pretty much immediately. So, the FBI learned of the crime in flight and immediately opened an extensive investigation that lasted many years, calling it NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. They interviewed hundreds of people, tracked leads across the nation, and scoured the aircraft for evidence. By the 5-year anniversary of the hijacking, they had considered more than 800 suspects and eliminated all but about 24 from consideration. One person from that short list was a man named Richard Floyd McCoy. We'll get into him in just a second. But yeah, he's a favorite suspect among many. They had tracked down and arrested McCoy for a similar airplane hijacking and escape by parachute less than 5 months after Cooper's flight. But according to the FBI, they later ruled out McCoy because he didn't match the physical description of Cooper provided by the two flight attendants, and the FBI says for other reasons, which they don't specify. So for the next several decades, they continue to keep the investigation open. You know, they're pouring money and resources into trying to figure out who this person
Yeah.
is. DB, where does DB come from? DB was kind of a media thing because the man introduced himself as Dan Cooper. Somewhere by the time it got to the media misheard it and they started printing DB Cooper. And DB Cooper kind of just stuck, which I think DB Cooper does sound cooler
oh yeah.
than Dan Cooper. So so the media started to print out DB Cooper. But yeah, from Thanksgiving of 1971 to July 12th, 2016, the FBI was actively investigating this matter. They've now given up. They are no longer investigating this matter. And we could get a conspiratorial with it, but I think you're probably right. I think after a while, you can only keep a case open for so long, and after a while, it kind of just doesn't make sense to keep pouring money and resources into something. So,
especially like with this, it's like had the FBI stopped the investigation, and we're podcasting in the year 1986. That's like 11 years,
Yeah.
So it's like that I could understand continuing the investigation because let's say the guy was 40, well now he's 50, so he still has a chance to be alive. But like if the dude was in his 40s, and you said it's been 50 years,
yeah,
he's got to be in his 90s.
right.
But if he was in his 50s, he's like 100 years old. He's dead at that point.
Mhm.
At this time, at least for us. I mean, he would be 90 if the investigation was closed in 2016. He would have been 90 at the time if he was 50 years old in 1975. So it's like you got like X amount of time to try to catch this guy before it's like, what's the point? Now again, like I think all of us would be satisfied if the FBI continued the investigation, were able to figure out who it was. So I think that's the only reason why you really could continue an investigation. But for taxpayer dollars, should just stop because there's no point. He got away. Call it quits.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious after 2001 if people kind of went back to this case again, because the September 11th attacks involved people hijacking a plane. So I wonder if that happened. I wondered if there was like a movement of people saying, "Yeah, we need to figure out who this DB Cooper guy is since he also hijacked a plane."
Well, what's crazy to think about is like when you look at the statistics, like airplanes were like hijacked like crazy before 2001.
Oh yeah.
But it was just like, I'm going to steal a plane or I want money. But 2001 changed it to where everything kind of changed because it's no longer a matter of I'm going to hijack a plane for money or I'm going to hijack a plane because I want to steal the plane. It's I hijacked a plane because I want to make a statement by crashing into two buildings. Actually, three, technically, if you count the Pentagon. So it's like, I feel like that's kind of where everything kind of shifted. And I think that's why you don't like back then before 2001, it was all right. My plane got hijacked and we had to pay this guy $20. But then after 2001, it was kind of like everything I guess everything shifted and changed. And so did you see that reel I sent this guy in like the 50s or 50? I think it was like, yeah, sometime in the 50s or 60s. He was having a beer at a bar. And he told him, he said, I bet you I can go. It was some busy, like one like New York or something or Chicago or something like that. And he was like having a beer and he's like, you know what? I bet you that I could land a plane in the street. Like, there's no way. 2 hours later, the guy stole a plane and landed it outside the bar.
Wild. He actually did it. That's funny.
Yeah. Now you can't do that because if you do that, you're going to get shot down by an F-16.
Oh, yeah.
Ruin the fun, people.
Ruin the fun. Ruin the fun. Um, there's some evidence I forgot to mention that I'll go over very quickly, and then we'll go ahead and dive into theories. Um, but so the FBI has three primary pieces of material. So they have the black J.C. Penney tie that DB Cooper wore. So before he jumped, he ripped off his tie, threw it into the plane, and then parachuted off. So they have that tie, and from that tie, they were able to get some DNA sample. So they have the tie, and they have some DNA samples. So that's two things. Uh, in 1980, 9 years after this happened, they found some of the ransom money. Not all of it. They didn't find all $200,000. But yeah, they were scanning a nearby lake for evidence, and they found some of the money torn up. So they went and they matched serial numbers, and sure enough, this was money from the hijacking. Uh, Now again, to this day, they still don't know where the other $200,000 is. Um, but yeah, they did find that. So okay, cool. We can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into theories, because there are a few. We won't cover every single theory, but I think there's a few big ones. So the biggest one, even the FBI notes this. The FBI is like, yeah, this is the biggest theory, even though the FBI has ruled it out. Is Richard McCoy. So Richard McCoy was a man that a few months. Well, actually, let me back up and let me talk about his children. So, a few. This was pretty recently, right? Well,
I think so, because I had heard something about it on the radio on Monday.
oh yeah, this says no. This article is from November 25th, 2024.
Yep.
So, as of 2 days ago, at the time of the recording of this podcast, we have a new article about DB Cooper. Wild. So, all right, this is the headline of the article. It says parachute linked to DB Cooper found, reigniting McCoy hijacking theory. So what happened is a parachute discovered on the property of Richard Floyd McCoy II's family has sparked new interest in the case, suggesting McCoy might have been the elusive fugitive. The renewed investigation into 53-year-old case began in 2020 when McCoy's children, Shantae and Richard Rick McCoy III, reached out to YouTuber Dan Grider. Grider, an amateur investigator who has long been researching the case, was invited to their family property in North Carolina in July 2022. There, inside their late mother's storage, Grider uncovered a modified military surplus parachute rig. He described it to Cowboy State Daily as one in a billion, speculating that it was used in DB Cooper's daring escape. McCoy's children share Grider's belief, suspecting that their father is DB Cooper. So the YouTuber believes it, the children believe it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there's more to that story, but initial reactions so far. So again, the parachutes that were found in this basement of McCoy's children is a very unique parachute. There's not many like it. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that could make sense. I mean, he had he asked for 4 parachutes, and the one of those could apply. That could be the one that he wore. Yeah, no, I remember hearing about this. Like I said, I heard it on the radio because they're like, FBI might have got a break in the DB Cooper case right after this, and they played a song, and then they were like talking about it, and I'm like, I was like, well, that probably cracks the case wide open right there. But then, obviously you'll go into this a little bit more after I finish about the FBI kind of saying it can't be him. So it makes you question.
Yeah, the FBI has not updated their website, even though I'll keep reading the thing. The FBI actually unofficially reopened the case upon hearing this new information. Now, I don't know why they haven't updated their website. Maybe that's why they unofficially reopened it.
Yeah.
But so this is what it said. So Grider's findings prompted the FBI to unofficially reopen the case, marking its first significant movement since the investigation was tabled in 2016. Let's see. In a video released Monday, Grider revealed that FBI agents had contacted him after viewing his earlier videos documenting the parachute discovery. Agents met with Grider and Rick McCoy III, collecting the parachute and its harness as evidence. The FBI also expressed interest in a logbook Shantae found, aligning with the timeline of Cooper's hijacking over Oregon and a later hijacking in Utah that McCoy was convicted of in 1972. The logbook could prove pivotal as it provides another potential link between McCoy and D.B. Cooper. The FBI's actions didn't stop there. A month after collecting the parachute, agents conducted a thorough search of the McCoy family property. Rick McCoy recounted how dozens of agents inspected every nook and cranny for additional evidence, while Grider and his colleague, retired airline pilot Laura Savino, documented the 4-hour search from a distance. This marked the first time the FBI had dedicated such resources to the case in years. Despite the apparent breakthroughs, the FBI has yet to confirm any apparent updates. And like I said, on their official website, they haven't even said anything about doing this. So kind of makes you wonder. But yeah, as of right now, it's possible that the FBI, at least in an unofficial capacity, is looking into this case. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Well, first off, where's the money?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing is if me and Steven hijacked a plane, stole a bunch of money that was equal to almost $1.4 million, jumped out of the plane, you'd never hear from me again. I'd be laying low and scrounging and living off $1.4 million in the Bahamas. I wouldn't be pulling off another hijack the next month or the next year.
Have you heard of that? I forgot the phenomenon, but it's the idea that when a criminal's gotten away with something once, they
go again.
They become pretty likely to do it again because they're like, oh well, I got away with it once, so I can get away with it twice.
Maybe the phenomenon. Maybe it's just because I'm smarter and they're stupider. But if I'm able to get away with $1.4 million, I'm disappearing. You're not going to hear from me again.
I guess it would depend on the circumstances, because maybe it's a false confidence, or maybe it's a realistic confidence. But maybe for some of these guys, maybe they feel like they figured out the strategy and they're able to do it. I don't know.
They're being cocky. It's like, but that's where it's like the only reason why I'm not kind of agreeing with the FBI, and it's not because I don't trust the FBI. Okay, we all know I don't. Okay, but the reason why I'm not siding with them on this is because where's the money? If this guy jumped out of a plane with $200,000, where, and he gets arrested a year later, there's no way that, if he was smart about it, he probably went and blown $1.4 million in a year.
You'd be surprised how fast some people blow their money.
Or if he did, I'm pretty sure we would know about it, or his kids would know about it. Yeah, there's they'd be sitting around Christmas. Hey, you remember that time Dad blew $1.4 million on coke and hookers? Yeah, man, I remember. But see, there's nothing. It's just like he had the money, then it's gone or something, and then he's hijacking another plane because he needed more money. So where'd the money go?
Where'd it go?
You know what NCIS taught me?
What's
Follow
that?
the money. Follow the money. If you follow the money, you'll figure it out.
That's usually that is usually how it goes, right? So, all right. I saw. Let's see. Oh, Fox News just posted an article today about it, but it seems to be the same stuff I just read. North Carolina siblings claim late dad is DB Cooper. Um,
Hey,
so
it's going back to the whole Black Dahlia thing a couple weeks ago. My
yeah,
dad did it. That's what happened.
Newsweek. Yeah, hey, dude. Yeah, a lot of news sites are reporting on it now. Newsweek reported on it 2 weeks ago. Okay, so it looks like the FBI has reopened a case and they are investigating as we speak.
Wouldn't it be wild if, as we're finished filming this episode, you're sitting there and you're like, all right, here's the next two people. And then you get through the second person after this guy and you go, okay, never mind. Fox News just posted this guy was DB Cooper.
I know,
Case
yeah.
closed.
I know if that's the case, we'll tell people to skip the beginning of the. No, I'm just kidding. They can sit. So, um, okay, so all right, yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and say
Last two.
the last two, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. So, let me do the boring one first, um, and then I'll do the kind of. We've already said the most interesting one, but I'll go
Yeah.
ahead and kind of give the other one. So, the most boring theory is that we won't find out who DB Cooper is because DB Cooper died when he jumped out of the skydiving equipment. The FBI, so this is their theory. They speculate that because of bad weather, because of Cooper's lack of proper skydiving equipment, because of the terrain that he jumped into, and because of his lack of detailed knowledge of where exactly he was landing, they suspect that he didn't survive the jump and that he was killed when he fell down, which possibly explains why some of the money was recovered at some point. Although I have the same question you did. Why was only some of the money recovered and not all of it? Because I don't know.
Yeah. I got a theory about that. I'll go into after, unless you want me to shoot it before the next person.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and shoot off your
I was
theory.
just going to say, okay, I kind of like that theory. I could kind of understand a little bit. There's a lot of different ways that like the money could have ended up. Like, I mean, depending on how the money landed, and if he jumped out of the plane and something happened, and maybe like the bag, just all the money flew out of the bag as he was going down. You could be looking at money scattered all across, and there could be some boys going hiking in the woods, or somebody hiking in the woods, and they find a couple $100s, and like, somebody dropped their money. That's what I could see, or based off weather conditions. If we're saying that the weather conditions, what were the conditions like? Do we know what the conditions were like that night?
The FBI is not releasing details.
Of course they aren't.
This is a theory that came out later. Yeah, so they actually still have his DNA evidence, but yeah, they Gruder, the YouTuber guy, or Grider rather, he asked for the DNA under the Freedom of Information Act, and they wouldn't release it to him.
So I'll just say this: I think if the weather conditions were bad enough to where it was hard for him to skydive, it kind of can make you wonder that if he landed in the woods, how much of that money could have been rained on and then buried in mud.
Who knows? All right, last theory, and then we will wrap up this episode. So, a true crime investigator, Eric Eulis, uh, has a completely different theory. So, he believes it was a guy named Vince Peterson. Now, who is Vince Peterson? Vince Peterson is an aerospace engineer from Pittsburgh. When, remember, they had DB Cooper's tie.
Mm-hmm.
When they got DNA evidence from Cooper's tie, they found something really interesting. There was pieces of metals on that tie that was consistent with metals found in the aerospace industry. Eulis linked these metals to Peterson's work as a Boeing subcontractor. Now, he tried to get more DNA evidence from the. Now, like Ryder, he also asked for some DNA evidence, but FBI would not give it to him.
Yeah.
But so that's really it for that theory. But yeah, you do gotta wonder, DB Cooper, why would he have metal from aerospace craft, spacecraft on his tie? Makes
Yeah.
you wonder. So
If it, I mean, because he, like you said, the other guy wanted the tie and they wouldn't give it to him. So what if the FBI lied? I think here's my theory, and then I'll let you tell your theory. I think DB Cooper died before he hit the ground, or he died when he like jumped out of the plane. Like I really like the second theory of like he died, all of this because, and here's my because. And the reason why I don't think the first theory, like maybe I'll be wrong. Okay, maybe I'll be wrong, and
I am
the first
refreshing
guy.
DB Cooper's Google page as we speak. So
I know, right?
yes.
Who knows? Okay, maybe the first guy actually is DB Cooper, and what I'm fixing to say is a whole load of bull crap. My theory and thought is they investigated this guy back in 1971 after everything had happened, or 1972 after he got arrested, and they couldn't link him. Like because okay, if Steven is sitting next to me on a plane and is handing me notes and stuff, I'm gonna remember his face very well. You know, it's not like I saw the guy and he was like 10 feet that way. No, it's like he's told me to sit down next to him. And like, I feel like the crew on that plane would know DB Cooper. They would know his face. Like, even if he had shades on, you know, like it's not like Clark Kent, all right, where he puts on a pair of glasses and you're like, oh, where'd he go? You know, so I think that the best eyewitness accounts we have are from those flight attendants. And the flight attendants don't say it was the first guy we talked about. It's not the first guy. You know, I want to know, did the DNA match with the first guy? You know, where did the money go? So my theory is I like the second theory because Stephen mentioned something earlier, if you're paying attention. The reason why they didn't arrest the first guy for the DB Cooper case was because the flight attendants didn't notice him. And then there's some other reason they weren't telling us. What if the FBI knew the whole time that DB Cooper was dead? And what if because it gained so much traction and it became such a popular story, the FBI never told us the truth?
I don't really see their incentive for doing that.
Well, I mean, it's the FBI. They like to lie.
Uh,
They don't have us. They don't have our intentions the best at heart.
I'll wrap us up with I kind of agree with Will's theory, although I think for different reasons. But
Yeah, maybe you can make it cleaner.
yeah, I think he probably died. He had requested for 4 parachutes. He jumped off with 2, so he left 2 in the plane. So yeah, I mean that's not. He probably needed all 4 of them, and he had 2. So that's one thing. We don't know quite what the weather was like, although I probably have a decent idea that if he was flying from, let's see, I think he was flying from New Mexico to Mexico City when he
No,
hopped
no,
on.
no, no. He was flying from Washington, Seattle, Seattle.
Well, he went from Seattle, but then he hijacked the plane, and then he told them to drop him off. And I think,
Was it in New Mexico? Where did he get a second plane at?
well, he had them drop off like to get so he could get money, and then he
Yeah.
had to go Mexico. Well,
I
wherever,
don't actually.
somewhere on the West Coast to
Mm.
Mexico City, he hops off. It is the day before Thanksgiving. I'm sure there's high winds. I'm sure it's freezing cold. So I'm sure weather conditions were not great. So, with bad weather conditions, with not proper equipment, with him jumping off, not really knowing where he's jumping off to, is the suspicion. I don't think he makes it. I don't think he makes it alive. So
According to this, he jumped out somewhere between his suspected landing site. According to this, was somewhere north of Portland, Oregon, um,
oh,
near Ariel,
okay.
near Lake Merwin.
So basically where he was starting off, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think that will do it. That's all the thoughts, comments, and I have. I'm refreshing the page and nothing else has come up. But yeah, we'll see.
Hey,
DB, we might know who DB Cooper is by the time this episode actually drops.
will this be our first solved mystery?
Maybe.
Roanoke never will be solved. The Ark never will be solved. Mary Celeste never will be solved. What other mysteries have we done? Elvis never will be solved. John Wilkes Booth never will be solved. Jack the Ripper never will be solved. Circleville Letters never going to be solved. What else have we done? Black Dahlia, we solved that one. DB Cooper, who knows? It could be correct. Well, y'all have a well, I was going to say have a great Thanksgiving, but this episode comes out the day after Thanksgiving, so hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving.
It's officially Christmas season now. If you're a person like me, so.
And me, don't forget, I'm like that too.
Yeah, I don't start Christmas until after Thanksgiving. So, but now it's officially Christmas. So enjoy.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you're still with your family and you had a great Thanksgiving, and hopefully you're going to have a great hangout with your family and you didn't just eat and dip, dine and dash. And if you did, hey, thanks for listening to us with your family. That takes courage. That takes bravery. We commend you, comrade. Y'all have a great weekend. And yeah. Next episode next week is over we're going to another spooky location. So next week. So thank you guys again for watching. Hopefully you didn't get too fat off turkey, and we'll catch you on the next one.